Hi, welcome to DBMS course. In this session, we will discuss about relational constraints. Relational constraints. What are relational constraints? The set of rules that are to be imposed on the database to validate the quality of the database. And relational constraints are mainly four types. The first one is domain constraints. The second one is key constraints. And the third one is entity integrity constraints, and the fourth one is referential integrity constraints. Let us discuss each of these constraints one by one. In this session, we will discuss about domain constraints. Domain constraints. What are domain constraints? The first one is we can restrict the value of an attribute to be the set of characters, or to be the set of integers, or to be the set of real numbers. That means we can restrict the values that can be placed for an attribute to a particular set of values. Suppose we have a relation with four attributes: SID, name, class, age. Come to the attribute SID. The domain for this attribute is int. So the set of integers. That means we can write only integer values for this attribute SID. Here all the 5 records are having integer values. So it is fine. Then come to the next attribute name. The domain for this attribute is char. That is the set of strings. Here all the 5 records are having string values. So it is also fine. The next attribute is class. For this the domain is int. So here also all the records are having integer values. Then come to the attribute age. For this the domain is int. That is the set of integers. But if we observe the last record, here instead of integer value, I have a string value. Strings are not allowed for this attribute because we are supposed to write only integer values. Is that clear, sir? The next one, composite attributes are not allowed. Only simple attributes are allowed. What is meant by composite attribute? Let me explain with an example. Suppose we have a relation with 3 attributes. The first one is SID. The second one is name, which is having 2 parts, first name and last name. So this is an example of a composite attribute. If any attribute is further divided into 2 or more parts, then that is called composite attribute. So this is an example of a composite attribute. So this type of composite attributes are not allowed in our relation. Suppose if you want to store the same relation with these attributes, what we can do is we can create a relation with 4 attributes in which the first name and the last name both are independent attributes. Like this we can create the relation. The next one is multi-valued attributes are not allowed. What is meant by multi-valued attribute? For any attribute, if at least one of the record is having more than one value, then that particular attribute is called multi-valued attribute. For example, suppose we have a relation with 4 attributes: SID, name, class, and mobile number. Come to the attribute mobile number. For the attribute mobile number, the first student or the first record is having 2 mobile numbers. So it is having multi-values for that attribute. And similarly, even the third record is also having 2 values. So mobile number is an example of a multi-valued attribute. This type of attributes are not allowed. Is that clear, sir? So this is about domain constraints. In next session, we will discuss about key constraints. Thank you.